Hey Dee, guess what we just did?
I was there, but why don't you tell them?
So we just joined the Do Not Care Club with a gardening club.
Yeah, the We Do Not Care Gardening Club, and people are welcome to join us. And it's in another file. So we're just going to start this episode, right?
We are just going to start this episode and they will go have to look for our YouTube video. Welcome to the Garden Angelus, where we chat about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I have a suburban garden measured in square feet. It's about a third of an acre.
And I'm Dean Ash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I still have a large garden out in the country.
We are Garden Angelus because we love gardening, and we want you to love it too.
Yes, we do, and we aren't afraid to tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But let's move on to this week's episode. Carol, how does your garden grow in the beginning of August? Well, second week.
Yes, and so it's been 5 days since we last recorded, since we recorded on Sunday, and now it is Friday. So I did mow the lawn and I finally cut back some mulberry trees that were growing up through some flowering quince. I had
Yeah.
to, I had long sleeves, long pants, and I had to crawl under there with a reciprocating saw to cut off where it kept coming back from the roots.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did some other weeding too while I was down there. Other than that, it has gotten hot again, so I've mostly picked some vegetables. I've admired stuff from indoors where I completed that round jigsaw puzzle, that Shakespeare's Flowers that I struggled with the first time. I've
Hmm.
conquered it, and it is lovely. And oh, by the way, on Tuesday, had I wanted to garden, I could not because the spring on my garage door broke. And you can't really lift the door once that happens.
No, you have to hire someone to come fix that.
You do. And so my lawnmower and my wheelbarrow and all my gardening tools just had to stay indoors until the guy came later in the afternoon to fix it. But it's all fixed and I'm back in business.
Good for you.
How about your week, Dee? Your 5 days.
Oh my gosh, I've been so busy. I wonder where I should start. I think I'll start with the happy parts. All right, the happy parts are I went and garden coached another lady and she was
Nice.
delightful. And we worked on her roses and we just had the best time. And it was really nice to get out there and talk with people. And then I recorded a podcast with our friend Teresa Byington. It's
I
the Rose
heard you did
Chat
that.
podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And it publishes on August 24th. We'll mention it again. And we were discussing downsizing and roses, of course. And then I also ordered some seeds for my fall vegetable garden
Nice.
and flowers like that I start in December, like Lysianthus, you have to start it really early. And so I'm going to try that again this year because growing plugs is hard. I mean, it's not hard, it's hard to get them delivered at the right time because they're
Yes.
so busy fulfilling all of that for flower farmers. And speaking of flower farmers, I didn't write this down, but my friend, Ladybug Lane, Jennifer, she didn't have, well, I mean, she probably had enough flowers to do her CSA bouquets this week, but she didn't have enough zinnias. And so I said, hey, I've got zinnias galore, just come over here and I will cut them for you. So I went out early morning on Tuesday and I just cut all my zinnias back, which is great because then they're going to really bloom again, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I'd already cut my bouquet for the week, so I didn't care. And then I also cut her some Vitex and some grasses and things I have that she doesn't have. And then she combined it with all her stuff and it was really pretty. And
Nice.
then on to the bad news. Are you
What's
ready?
the bad news?
The bad news was I was out deadheading my daisies, my Shasta daisies, which are the variety Becky. People have been asking that a lot. And it's the only good one in my opinion. It doesn't flop. It's easy to grow. So I was out there and I had on just regular shoes, not my boots. And I think I had on shorts that were tick resistant, but my bare legs were there. Anyway, all of a sudden I felt something on me and I looked down and it was a tick the size of a pinprick. And Tick Encounter in Rhode Island had said that the larval ticks were out. And if they're out in Rhode Island, they're out here.
Right.
And so
Right.
I looked down at her and I thought, oh, and I grabbed her and then I thought, this is an opportunity to do another video. So I
I
stuck her on a
saw.
rock I stuck her on a rock and I showed how she kept crawling under this pebble because they don't like the sun. So that was not very fun. And then I decided I didn't want a deadhead anymore.
I could imagine why you would go back inside after that.
So
I
I
can
just
imagine.
came back inside and then I'm going to be speaking. I'm back speaking again because Zolair is amazing stuff. And so I'm speaking to the Oklahoma Organic Gardeners Association on August 22nd at 7 p.m. at OSU OKC, which is down off of Portland in Oklahoma City. So if anyone's around, I'm pretty sure it's open to the public. And so please come because we would love to see you. I'm going to talk about basically being resilient in Oklahoma because it's hard to grow
Yeah.
here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That earth,
So
wind, and fire and ticks.
yeah, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to talk about. So play favorites. What's your favorite this week?
So my favorite this week is good old-fashioned beefsteak tomatoes. So I've struggled with the raccoons getting to my tomatoes before I did, and I
Uh-huh.
picked one that was really pink, more green. It ripened on the counter. It was delicious, but I went out there the other night, four big red ones just waiting for me to pick them, and so I did.
Good for you.
And
So I
that's
have
my
to do all
favorite.
of mine. I have to do all of mine that way where I bring them in early
Uh-huh.
because I have trouble with those shield bugs just sucking the juice out of them. And then I end up with those white spots in them, which I don't love. So I am just now getting tomatoes, which for me is okay, except for it's frustrating because I spent all this time working on it. But I can't really eat tomatoes right now. They're kind of I don't know why, but they just make people react. Probably because they're in the nightshade family. People say they're high histamine, but in any event, I got my first big red tomato and I gave it to Bill. Oh, but that's not my favorite.
What is your favorite?
My favorite is Hibiscus Mahogany Splendor. It's a tropical hibiscus that you can grow from seed or cuttings, and it is so pretty this time of year. It's beautiful in bouquets. Flower farmers use it all the time. It does not bloom. You grow it for the leaves. I'll take
Oh,
a picture of
nice.
it.
Well, there is a flowering hibiscus that I want now.
Which one?
It's by Lego.
Of course it is.
Um,
Legos hurt my thumbs. I can't really put them together, but they are cool.
so the it came out August 1st. I thought I will wait to see if it shows up at Costco for a few bucks off. I don't need it right this minute, so I'm waiting.
Is it tropical or is it the ones with the big blooms, the hardy hibiscus? Can you tell?
I can't really tell. It's Lego. It's got a hibiscus looking flower. It looks really nice. So
I bet it's pretty.
I need it for my collection.
Sure you do. I've given up on them. I told my kids don't buy me anymore because the cats tear them up and they're really hard for my thumbs to put together.
I
But
love
that's
putting them
okay.
together.
I do love them. I mean, I really do. I think they're fun to do, but not fun when the cat takes your red roses and scatters them all over the floor.
Yeah, because
So
I sent you, and I don't know if it's real. I'm assuming it's real that they've come out with pink roses.
I know. Yeah.
So
I'm not going to do those. All right. Question of the week. And it's from your aunt. So I will
yeah.
ask it.
Well, she lives down
What's
in Evansville for starters, and then I'll tell you how it all turned out.
where? I mean, does that matter?
What?
That she lives in Evansville instead of Indianapolis. How far away is it?
Um,
I don't know.
it's 3 hours as the crow flies
So it's south.
south. You
So it's
know,
warmer.
Indiana has that little tip. Think of
Yep.
that's Evansville.
Okay. And so Evansville is what zone do you think?
It's 6B and could push 7A, I think,
Okay,
depending
good to
on.
know. All right, so here's the question. What's wrong with my yew? The top has died out some, and some of the needles are yellowing. No visible sign of bagworms. And so, what did you suggest?
So I suggested that she check for spider mites because the damage seems somewhat localized. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure, and I sent her a link to the Missouri Botanical Garden has a "What's Wrong with My U" article. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, she texted me this morning and said, sure enough, she checked. you put a little white piece of paper in the palm of your hand, then you tap the branch and
Shake
you
it. Yeah.
shake it, and then if there's spider mites, they'll drop onto the paper. And she sent back and said, it's spider mites. So she said it's been really, really dry there. And
Yep.
so I said, hose everything down, cut out the dead part, hose it all down. And she wondered about a spray, and that would be a dormant oil spray would be best. I don't
Yeah, but
think
it's
high
hot.
summer is the time to do it. So I'm going to text her
Mhm.
and say, just do the watering, keep it wet, And she says they've been
Do
really
it.
dry down there.
Yeah, do it several times this week and water underneath. I tell people that all the time because they tend to congregate underneath the leaves and suck off things like so many insects do. They get
Exactly.
underneath. And so you just spray it and you keep it wet like every day. I'd say do it every day or every other day for a whole week. And I think it'll take care of it just fine. They do not like water.
They do not like water. So I will, that's a good tip to get the underside of the leaves. So, but I think this is the time of year in general where people kind of look at stuff and say, is that
Yeah.
dying
Yeah.
or is that end of season fading? And
Yeah.
so the best
Well,
approach is to kind of wait and see, in my opinion. But
yeah, unless it's spider mites, you probably need to
right.
get on those pretty quickly. Okay, so I think you brought up a really important point here. She said, "What can I spray?" And that's what everybody thinks right
Yes.
off is,
Right.
"What can I spray? What can I spray?" And my attitude is always start with the least violent thing first. And usually that involves water or making sure the plant has enough
Yes.
health,
Water.
things like that. Then you can go up to soap for some things, but it doesn't always work.
Right.
And dormant oils this time of year? No,
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 it's not.
too
Yeah. So
hot.
it is too hot. So I will remind her of that. But anyway, I'll do a quote and we'll get into our flower topic.
That was a great question,
It
Carol.
was a good question. And it just came in last night when I'm like, what's our question going to be?
Good thing.
August is the slow, gentle month that stretches out the longest across the span of a year. It yawns and lingers on with the light in its palms. Victoria Erickson. Yes,
Cool.
except time seems to go faster, but
It goes on faster and faster the older you get. So, flowers, this week we are going to focus on the letter U. And you and I looked at each other last week and
uh-huh.
said, darn it, we did umbels. But you know what? We're going to do them again.
We are? I didn't think we were going to do them. We came up with
Well, we can do umbels just quickly. We like
we
umbels. Go to the previous deal and
Yes, I'll tell you
listen.
what, your assignment, D, is to find those episodes where we talked about umbels. And there's one way back when we were doing botanical terms.
I can find them. You
You
know
can
I'm good
find,
at that.
you are very
Okay,
good.
so instead you said let's go in a different direction. Underground, underutilized, underplanting, which is actually really good. Good job.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So underground,
Underground.
why the soil is important because it is. Without good soil, you can do whatever you want. You're not going to have a good time.
That's the best answer I've heard for that in forever. You're just not going to enjoy gardening if your soil sucks.
Exactly. So you want to make sure you have good soil, weed and free, add organic matter. You and I have been working the same land, so to speak, for decades.
Ever.
So
Yeah.
our soil's got to be pretty good by now.
I just did that whole series on clay soil on Instagram where I did 4 or 5 videos. And the important part of that whole thing is it has to be amended. And it has to be amended over years. So it took me three
Exactly.
years. And now we're probably I would say in our eighth or ninth or 10th year in those
And
beds.
I will say this, in terms of a garden, that is your most valued resource is your soil. And
Yep.
so that's where when people want to use these homegrown uh, bug sprays and different things, it's like
Concoctions.
concoctions. Don't put vinegar down on your soil. You're killing everything because people think of soil as inorganic, which a lot of it is, but there's life in that soil, and you
A
kill that
bunch of
life in the
life.
soil, and it's dead soil, and dead soil is no good for anybody.
Yeah, it's not. And I think one of the best amendments for your soil are shredded leaves. However, ticks love to breed
They do.
in that duff, leaf duff. And so somebody asked me the other day, well, will they do that in bark mulch? And not as much. And nobody really knows exactly why. We just know that leaf mold is nice and cool, and they love nice, cool areas. So maybe that's why. Maybe they like the matter. I have no idea why. But now I no longer use shredded leaves, but I do use compost and I use really good organic mulch. And I think those two things can feed your soil because earthworms take whatever you give them and they eat the dead matter and then they poop in the soil. And it's all great because that is part of the nitrogen that you
Right.
need. I mean, and it also creates air pockets within the soil, which you need. I mean, your soil is your most important resource. And then your second most important resource is water.
Yes.
You've got to
Water.
figure out your soil
But
and your
don't talk
water
about
first.
water because we got W
That's
coming up.
W. That's right. But the point is, if you hire me as a garden coach, or if you go to Carol with a question, the first thing we're going to ask you about is your soil.
Exactly. So with that, let's move on. I do have one more thing to say about soil, and you said compost.
Yep.
So the guy came to do my first fence estimate Tuesday,
Uh-huh.
and he had to walk back through the vegetable garden and out the gate so that he could measure along the outsides. How long is this? And he said nice compost piles.
Nice. I like it.
So
Yeah, my compost piles sit out there with my mulch. And over
well,
time, your mulch piles turn into compost because everything goes back to nature. All right, underutilized flowers.
so that was the next topic, and you came up with one, and I will admit I do not have this one in my garden.
Tradescantia pallida, which is purple heart. It's one of the Tradescantias, and there are different varieties of purple heart. There are variegated ones, and then there's the straight purple one. And in zone 7 and above, for sure, it may even be a little bit hardier. It is very, very hardy. And I actually had a client the other day say, you've got to be kidding me. All these years I just dug it up. And I said, no, you don't have to dig it up. It'll come back better next year. It is underutilized because people think it's so easy. And people are going, but that plant isn't really a flower. Oh, yes, it is. Because right about now it starts to bloom. I'll take a picture for the newsletter. It flowers in August here, and it's called Mary's Tears. And the reason it's called Mary's Tears, it's named for the Blessed Mother. And when you pull that little flower out, it has blue nectar.
Nice. I do
Yeah, it's a
not
cool
have that.
plant.
We'll have to look up the hardiness of that because I do not have that. I have some Tradescantia spiderwort, I'll say, which I
Yep.
consider to be kind of a weed, and I just pull it out when I see it because I don't want it to flower. It would take over. It's not the same thing, and it blooms in the early summer.
I have it in a pot and it does great there. This is funny because here, according to That's interesting. According to the North Carolina Extension, it is only
Yeah.
hardy to zones 10 and 11, but
Yep.
that's not true. It is definitely hardy in my garden to zone 10. Now, I would say it's ground hardy. It dies all the way back to the ground, but I have a lot of
Right.
stuff that does that.
Oh yeah.
So I've been growing it here for years, and it's actually in a raised bed, in a raised border, and it still comes back every year. So I'm getting ready to break off pieces of it and start it in other sections of that border so that I have more color going down the side. And I'm talking about just the straight purple one. If you grow the variegated one, that one is not hardy.
No.
Okay, so next.
Well, underutilized because I'm like the only person I know that has it. That's the Bernardia japonica, and I've talked about this before. It's the Japanese Janseth, and I got it from the Elizabeth Lawrence Garden down in Charlotte. And so I've had it for about 10 years. I've actually given away a couple little bits of it to a garden club
Yeah.
member, and then when I spoke, it's very hard to find in the trade. And Nan Andra had seeds, but no advice except good luck on sowing those seeds to get them to grow into something. So foliage in the spring dies back, and I am on a watch for it. It hasn't come back up yet. And I'm like, don't tell me you died on me. I have a nice
Uh-oh.
little patch that's been growing and growing and growing. So anyway, it's underutilized. I think more people should grow it because It is really sparkly pretty in fall. And it may be that I need to go back and look at my pictures and it's like, oh, it doesn't really bloom until September, Carol. So cool your jets. It's fine. I need to
It
do
could
that.
be. The next one is hardy begonia, which I don't grow. It's begonia grandis, which is great for shade.
Yes, this one you will never, you don't find it very often for sale,
Hmm.
but if you can find somebody that's got a clump and they'll dig you up some, that's a good thing to have. And, or you could probably mail order it, but it's hardy, it's pretty, it grows well in the shade. I like it. It's one of the last perennials to come up from the ground, from the soil in the spring, but then it just kind of does its thing and seems to tolerate a lot of conditions, whether it's a dry summer or wet summer. Seems to just keep on trucking.
I thought of one that we didn't write down, and it's like Lycoris squamangera. It is not,
Oh,
it's not grown very much. Naked ladies, is one
resurrection
name for
lily.
it. Resurrection lilies. It is an interesting plant because, as you know, it sends up foliage in the spring and then it dies back. And it's got really pretty blue green, kind of almost like, am I thinking of the right flower? Agapanthus? You know, those big, long, blue green, strappy
Right,
leaves.
right.
It's got those, and then they die completely back, and you pull away the dead foliage. Don't pull it away until they're done. And then right now in my garden,
Right
it's
now in
coming up
mine.
and it's flowering and it's pink. Now there's Lycoris radiata too, which is the red one.
And that's not
Um,
hardy here. Just the pink one's hardy here.
Oh, interesting. They're both hardy here, but I really like the pink one. Right now is just when you need those bright, fresh flowers.
It is. And I'll tell you, that's another one. If you go to buy it, you find out that the bulbs are stinking expensive.
Very.
But if you know somebody like me that's been growing it for years, yeah, I got clumps and clumps of it. Ask me in the spring, I'll dig up a clump and give you a couple of those because I have it going all through this one path, so it's kind of cool. And I got it in the front, and I've got them not everywhere, but I've got them in quite a few places, and they just keep
So
dividing.
you're gonna supply that picture because I don't have that many.
Okay, I'll supply a picture.
Um, One more thing about it. When you go to plant it, I think it's better to plant it in the green
Yes, it
in the
is. I
springtime.
think so.
I grew it from bulbs that I bought, and it took me a really long time to get it going. And I finally did. Now I've got a client who reached out to me this week and said it is still not blooming in her garden. She bought it. And I said, it takes it sometimes 3 years to get going because it's cranky
Find
when it's dry.
find you a gardener that's got a bunch of it, and they'll dig you up a spot. And the funny thing is, it's an old-fashioned flower, and we'll get to other old-fashioned flowers that need to come back.
Hmm.
So you often find it around older homes where it just sort of comes up,
Yep.
and uh, that's the place to get it. And I did dig it up from somebody, and who said I could have all I wanted, and just like, don't tell Carol that. Dug up, I dug up and took as much as I wanted. But anyway,
Yeah, good for you.
but there's
So the
so
next,
I'm telling you, once you start growing it, yes, plant it in the green in the spring. Get a start from
Mhm.
somebody.
Yeah, and people don't know what it is in the spring
No,
because it
they think
looks
it's a
weird.
daffodil that didn't bloom.
Yeah, they either think that or that it's just some weird weed. And I'm like, no, 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 that's a good thing. You just leave that right there.
Exactly.
So there's that. And then there's old-fashioned flowers, and you brought up hollyhocks. And I bought seeds for the yellow ones again. I tried that in 2020, well, 2022 to 2023. And I had just put them out in my garden in March because they need a
Uh-huh.
long season, and the fire came and burned them all up. But this year I found two sources for them, two different varieties. Henry the seventh or eighth, seventh, I think, is one. Henry the something. I don't know which number it is. Because somebody's going to write it and go, no, it's Henry the fifth. It might be. Who cares? And then the other one I don't remember the name of, but I've got seeds on the way and I'll start those indoors early so I can set them out early.
So I winter sowed mine, and then probably too late to get anything to bloom. I put them out in my area in the vegetable garden where I'm trying to get self sowers going and make a mess for myself. Um,
Yeah,
they're growing pretty well out there once they got in the ground, and I mulched around them with some shredded leaves and things, and they seem to be doing pretty well. It's good soil back there, so
I love them. I just think hollyhocks are really pretty. So someone will ask us about rust. You know, they need good airflow, and certain varieties are less rust prone. I don't have too much trouble with rust here, and I think it's because it's windy here
yeah, that could be.
and dry. Okay, and then you said finally, flowers in general.
People just do not plant flowers like they used to, I think. I mean, I'd walk around my neighborhood in the morning for exercise, and it's like no flowers, no flowers, no flowers, flowers, no flowers, no flowers, flowers. And so I
Hmm.
think we just people, not even like a planter that's got a few flowers in it.
Yeah, and I think it's sad that they don't because there's a lot of flowers you can grow that just aren't that hard. But a lot of people think, oh, I should only grow evergreens, or
Or they
stuff
only
that's
want
green
to
all
grow
winter.
evergreens.
Yeah, and that's boring, and it also puts out a lot of wind pollen if you've got male plants. That's another topic for another day. Underplanting is our last topic in the flower category. You tell us about that.
So this is the fine art, I said, fine art of planting under
Hmm.
trees and large shrubs without making a garden look like it's unkept. But there are great plants to put under trees, especially if you have dry shade. And so we listed some. We can go quickly through these. I think the point is if you have dry shade under deciduous trees, that's a great place for bulbs because they don't like to be overwatered in the summertime when they're
Mm-mm.
just dormant in the ground, they'll rot. So daffodils, crocuses, snowdrops, you put summer snowflake on the list. All great bulbs that I think do well under trees, and I have them to show for that.
Me too. And in Oklahoma, it's really hard to grow snowdrops. Um, there's probably someone out there that does grow them, but you have to get them in the green too to really make them go. And then, so you can substitute that for summer snowflake. That's why I put it on the list.
Right, right. I have summer snowflake, and that's another one that's like give you all you want because no matter how much I dig that stuff up, I still have
There's
big
always
clumps of
more.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Give you
not
all you want.
aggressive, but it is a spreader. And I like that about it because there's this
In the
beautiful
right
weave
spot.
of white. Yeah. But I dig it up from places I don't want it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're moving on to, well, we can talk about that at the very end. So now we're moving on to plants that like dry shade that aren't necessarily bulbs.
Right. And I would say these are great because of the foliage. And then bonus, there's also lovely flowers on three of them. And that's epimediums, hellebores, and lord, which is Ceratostigma plumbogonides. I have that and it has little blue flowers right now. It's really pretty. I think some of my neighbors probably are like, what is that? But then if they don't go by my house and say, what is that? I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't done it right. So anyway, I think those are all good ones. And then you added caladiums, also an excellent choice.
I added two more.
Blackberry lilies, yes, they are not actually lilies. They're in the iris family, but yes, they're
They
lovely.
are.
And
And
toad
they're
lilies,
beautiful in summer. And then now the toad lilies will be blooming at the end of August, beginning of September.
exactly.
And they are beautiful too. So all of these plants are really, really good for dry shade.
Yes, I think they're good underplanting plants, as we say, as we like to
I think so
say.
too.
All right, I think we have
Yes.
utilized you in the flower category in an unusual manner. Go ahead with the vegetables. Quote.
Oh, well, I have to do a quote
I
first.
said quote. Yeah, quote.
The best definition of happiness is the ability to approach your life as this gorgeous, unfolding work of art that's always changing and never quite what you expect it to be. And that's from someone named Natasha Lunn. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, you
My
never know.
neighbors, my neighbors are texting in spite of me having it on Do Not Disturb. So that's why I seem a bit distracted because they keep texting in and I'm like, how do I mute them? I can't get
Well,
them
they're not
muted.
texting and saying, "Hey, there's, you know, fugitives running through the neighborhood or anything crazy like
No,
that.
they're planning a birthday party for one of the ladies in our neighborhood. She lost her husband this year
Oh,
suddenly.
you're on a group text.
I'm in a group chat and I love these ladies, but I can't get them silent right at the moment. All right, vegetables, unusual. You went with unusual.
Unusual vegetables, and the top of the list, and there aren't many, cucamelons. Those little tiny melons that look like they're about the size of your first joint of your finger, I guess, the size of a jelly bean. That's a better way to put it.
And they taste sour.
Uh, yes, and I don't like them, but
I mean,
they're
they're
very
very
fun.
popular. They're fun to grow because they're really cool looking. But I've had them and so can I just say why I don't like them?
They're sour.
Well, not only that, but they're also kind of fuzzy and weird when you first put them in your mouth. And they're squishy and I just don't like them.
So I think it's one of those things that on paper it seems like it's going to be fun to do, and if you have
And it is fun.
little kids
Yeah.
and stuff, it's an interesting vine. But we are going to say it's unusual, and we're going to pass.
All right, the next one you listed, I've grown, and it's Armenian cucumbers. In fact, I'm growing them out there right now, and they're finally taking off because it's been a weird summer. And
Well, I'm not growing. I don't think I'm. Am I growing Armenian cucumbers out
I
there?
think you bought some seed, but I don't know if you put it in the soil.
Yeah, because it like I tell people when they say, "Should I go ahead and sow that?" It's like, well, it's not doing anything in the packet.
That's right. Well, let me just say, I love Armenian cucumbers, and here's why. They're very crunchy. They don't have any bitter taste. Cucumber beetles don't seem to really like them that much, which they should because they're not bitter, but whatever. And then on top of that, they don't have that burpiness factor.
Yeah. And if I grew them, they haven't set any fruit yet. So I have to go out there and check because I've had many other cucumbers, and this cucumber year has been outstanding when I compared to last year, which was a big dud.
So my last year was fabulous and this year was a big dud. But I did a video this morning on Instagram about how our summer gardens in Oklahoma, at least mine, has been a big dud. And it was very popular because other people are chiming in. We had too much rain and the spring garden extended too long because it was super cold. And so it was hard to get the vegetables in at the right timing. I ended up pulling up every tomato, everything planted, tomatoes and peppers especially. And then I went out and bought more plants. So I'd started all these plants from seed and none of them went. So I had to get more. That's why you and I are having tomatoes at the same time
Yes.
and peppers and cucumbers. So yeah. So the next one, I've never grown. You?
Celeriac?
Have you grown it?
No, but I bought seeds and so I came close. Does that count?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Better, it's closer than I am. I just
So
never grew it.
it's celery root. And so I did buy some celery starts at the greenhouse this spring, and they died because I didn't keep them watered enough. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm told that if you grow celery root instead, it's easier to grow and you kind of get that big root ball, and then you can slice it or peel off pieces of it
You know
and it
what? People
tastes
make
like
it
celery.
into, and they mix it with mashed potatoes. So
Oh,
they
nice.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes they roast or whatever, roast it or they boil it and then they add it to mashed potatoes and it's really good.
And
I've
then
had it that way.
the next thing on the list I put was fall vegetables in general, that a lot of people think, well, I go out and plant my garden in May, see what comes up and harvest everything, and that's it. And so they forget that fall is a great season for the vegetable garden.
And in Oklahoma, we really have three vegetable seasons, really clearly. We have the spring vegetable season, and then we have ours we do in late April for summer crops normally. And then, but sometimes we have to stretch it into the beginning of May. It depends on how cold it is. And then now we'll do fall. We'll start doing fall. But you have to time it just right. And I'm gonna have
Yeah,
a video on that. I recorded it this morning. I'll probably post it tomorrow.
nice. So I will confess that I failed to plant as much for the fall as I should. I need
Mhm.
to go through my seeds. I have radishes I could definitely put out there. I probably have some turnips I could definitely get out there, maybe start some more kale, some more spinach, and see what happens. And here, depending on how early winter arrives, you may have to use some cover if you want to kind of extend things a little bit, which, as we like
Sure.
to say, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and you just have to decide. I am going to try carrots again this year in my cold frames because if you sow them like at the end of August, they'll grow until winter and then they sit there and then the winter makes them sweeter and then you can harvest in spring.
Nice.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes it goes better than others. In fact, I have the packet right here. It's called New Carota, and it is supposed to be a really good one for a shorter season or a season where, you're trying to do it early. And I'm going to do watermelon radish. Those are two things I'm going to do. I'm also going to
Nice.
do kale and spinach and lettuce because honestly, fall gardening in Oklahoma is really good.
So, any other unusual vegetables?
I can't think of any on top of my head. How about we have people write in and tell us
Yes. Well, the one I was thinking
unusual
about
vegetables they
is
like?
cardoons.
Yeah, cardoons are really popular down in Texas.
Yes, and so that's one that I think is unusual.
It is. It's related to the artichoke.
And then some people, depending on where you're at, they think okra is unusual, but okra is not unusual here.
Not
Well,
here either. In fact, it's one of the triumvirate. People all grow okra here. It's super easy to grow here. Mine's even growing here, but it's not produced yet. You want to do the next quote and then go into our bookshelf?
I do. The crickets felt it was their duty to warn everybody that summertime cannot last forever. Even on the most beautiful days in the whole year, the days when summer is changing into autumn, the crickets spread the rumor of sadness and change. That is E.B. White in Charlotte's Web, and he is so right. Those
He is
crickets, I
right.
hear them outside my back door, and I'm thinking, stop it.
Yeah, we're on our way. It's almost fall. It's hard to believe it because it's really hot out there right now. In fact, it's 90 degrees as we're recording this at 10:57.
I do not know what it is here, but it's in the 80s. It's going to get up to
Yeah.
90 for the next several days. But anyway, on the bookshelf,
You're going to have to talk about this because I didn't get it. You got it.
The Newfoundland Lunch Party, a Sisters of the Soil novel with recipes by Sonia Day. And I read this on my Kindle, and it is fiction, and it was a delightful book. Nice, I would say, cozy mystery of sorts. So it's the second in a series, but you could definitely read it without reading the first in the series because she does a good job with backstories. So says the Sisters of the Soil meet up again for fun times and good food, this time in Newfoundland, because they came from Mexico, the UK,
Hmm,
North America somewhere, um, where Hannah, who's from the UK, makes an extraordinary find outside Rhoda's Saltbuck's house by the sea in Newfoundland. She insists it's worth a fortune, but is she right? The sisters dig
interesting.
around for the truth with shocking consequences. Along the way, they get to sample some traditional Newfoundland dishes. They have recipes in the book. And explore a wild part of Canada which may contain an exciting secret. So that is the book.
Fun.
And it actually just won a gold medal from GardenCom for fiction. And I checked this morning, you can get the Kindle version for $3.99. And that's
That's
actually,
awesome.
like I said, the first book was called The Mexico Lunch Party, and I've not read that one. And I think there's only two books, but I thought it was a good story, and you learn a little bit of gardening history along the way, and like she said, a little bit about Newfoundland horticulture. I thought it was good.
Mhm. That's cool. I like it. I've not read it, but that's just right up my alley.
It is right up your alley, Dee. I think you should spend $3.99 and get that Kindle version and give it a shot.
I might do it because I like to read on my Kindle. I really do. All right, ready for me to do the next quote?
Yes,
The brilliant poppy flaunts her head amidst the ripening grain and adds her voice to tell the song that August's here again. Again. Get it again? Helen Maria Winslow from the poem August. So that begs the question, what poppy is flowering in August wherever this lady is from?
I do not know. I'm thinking,
Because
hmm,
my poppies all flower in the spring, but
ditto.
okay, Maybe she's down under and hers flower, because Australia or New Zealand or somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, but then they wouldn't have ripening grain. So I don't know. It's just a
I
weird
do
deal.
not
I
know.
still like it. It sounds good. Let's
Yeah.
just go on. Dirt.
So I found this. It's the Roblox Grow a Garden online game is quite the phenomenon of the summer. Now, I know nothing of this online gaming world, Dee, and we we had Gen Con here last week, the world's largest tabletop gaming convention. 75,000 people
Yes.
show up to play all kinds of games, tabletop. They even had puzzling, costumes, the whole yard, 9 yards. But this is online. And you think of like guys sitting down in their basement playing online.
I don't know.
So anyway, so this Grow a Garden it's called, and quoting from the article, it says it was created by a 16-year-old in a few days, has shattered records for the most concurrent players of any game in history, beating out video games that take years and millions of dollars to develop.
Huh.
And it says, in the article, it says, the word I keep hearing used over and over to describe this particular game is that it's chill, which is such a nice alternative. Um, and he says you can check in and you can check your gardens, you can get some new seeds, you can plant them, says this Becky Bozdeck, who's the editorial director of the nonprofit Common Sense Media. She said she has an 11-year-old son who plays it. I wouldn't let an 11-year-old play online games, but that's just me. He says the big difference is that a lot of the games have a big, giant objective, but in Grow a
Uh-huh.
Garden, you just kind of hang out and do what you want.
Yeah, it reminds me of a game my kids used to play, which I'm gonna have to think about what it is.
It wasn't Sim City, was it?
Oh my gosh, no, SimCity is before my kids. I played SimCity on a computer
It
way
wasn't
back in the day.
Farmville?
No, I remembered. It's Harvest Moon.
Okay.
And my kids loved that game. And it was really gentle. And I was like, yeah, play it all you want to. I think it started out on computers and then it went online. So a
But
really, really
this,
cool game.
yeah, and this says you can start just by growing your garden. You have to have a Roblox account, and then you get an empty plot and some money, and you start sowing seeds, and then you can sow more seeds, and or you can just sell your crops to make money to buy seeds instead of using real
Hmm.
money. But this last thing is from this YouTuber who plays Grow a Garden to an audience of 5.3 million. So she plays it on YouTube and people watch. I mean,
Yeah.
we've watched crazier videos, but it says it's really cool because you can come together because the seed shop is global, so everybody's shop is the exact same. So you can work with
Huh.
other people and be like, oh my gosh, the sugar apple is in stock. Get online. The seed shop updates every 5 minutes, so there's always something pulling you back into the game, of course. But
Yeah, because they're all set up that way, but I can see myself having trouble playing. I mean, I love games if I'm not careful.
yeah, I'm not going to sign on and get an account. I'm just going to go out to my
Mhm.
real garden. But I think it's nice that this a little bit
I
of
mean,
nut.
if it teaches them some things about gardening, then great.
Yeah,
Who knows if it does, but I think going outside and, we don't go outside enough anyway. None of us get enough vitamin D.
right.
So we
Anyway,
should go outside.
that was our dirt. I'll do a quote and take us into rabbit holes. Down the lanes of August with her blossoms at our feet, rich with gold and scarlet, dripping wet with honey sweet. Rich or poor, no matter, here are splendors spread down the lanes of August for all who wish to tread. Edgar Guest. That's kind of a
That was
tongue
a hard one
twister.
to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a tongue twister. So rabbit holes, you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Bill and I have been watching this show, and it's a German show, and it's called Babylon Berlin. And Babylon Berlin came out a few years ago in Germany, and it is extremely well made. Now, you can watch it on this app called MHZ Choice app. And the way I found the show is I went online and looked up bingeable shows because at night we watch TV together. It's
Right.
something he really enjoys. If I didn't have a husband, I would probably read, but I can no longer read while he watches TV. It's just not, my attention span isn't that good. So we watch these shows. Here's the caveat. it does have some sex and nudity in it, especially the first season, because it's a vice squad. That's all I'm going to say about that. It is it starts out with this wonderful actor who plays a cop in the vice squad, and eventually they become a murder squad. So they get out of vice, which is fine by me. And each season focuses on something different, but it's all set in the late 20s, early 30s in Germany. And there's two ways to watch it. You can watch it dubbed with English, American voices. That one is crummy because the dubbing is terrible. Or you can watch it German with subtitles because German is one of those languages that Americans, I mean, if they were going to dub it, they should have used German actors because it's
Right.
really, the accents are terrible. So I worked really hard and eventually I downloaded the MHZ Choice app directly onto my streaming device instead of trying to do it through Apple or through Prime because it was really hard to not get the dubbed version. And what else do I want to say about that? Why is it a rabbit hole? Because it really has made me do some research about the late 20s. We know a lot about Germany in the United States once Hitler came to power, but this is before he comes to power, and it shows you the struggles that were going on within German society between the communists, the nationalists, and then the nationalists end up becoming fascists ultimately. So it's just really good. The characters are fully formed
Right.
characters. Uh, they're very sympathetic. They're not perfect, and they make a lot of human mistakes and bad choices here and there. But it just tells you how hard it was to make it back then. I mean, inflation was really high and a lot of stuff was going on. There's
Sure.
also in the third season, it's about the German cinema, which was very avant-garde because the
Hmm.
French cinema was extremely avant-garde, and then that kind of went to Germany, they're right next door. And also, it kind of went to the United States, but it became film noir here. And Bill and I are really interested in that time period anyway, so I knew he would probably like it. And he's gotten a lot better at watching foreign movies with subtitles. But you really have to watch it. You can't play on your phone because
No,
you
not with
don't know what they're
subtitles.
saying. But I will say this, a lot of our language has German words in it
Yes.
because we're considered, I won't use that word, but we're considered a mixed up language.
Yes.
So English has a lot of German and it has a lot of French. So it's been really fun to see some of the words because the French aren't going to like this, but if you go way back to France and Germany in the beginning, France was called Franc. Well, Franc is German. So a lot of the French society they're really German. They're right close to each other. So there you
Well, that
go.
is true. And I will say this to that. People think my last name is French and it's German, as far as I
Right, because
know.
it's pronounced Michael instead of Michelle.
Yes.
And my last name, my birth name is Arterburn, which is as German as it gets. And we have Franks in our household. And when I went and did my DNA, I thought I had a lot more Irish than I do. I do have some, but actually I am mostly French and German. And one of our names is Frank, which is French. I mean,
Hmm.
it's German, but it means French. And so that's just really interesting. And so if you go back to French history and you go, wait, well, I'm talking the medieval period. That's when a
Right.
bunch of Germans came over. It's like the Anglo-Saxons, the same type of thing. So very, very interesting. And it was quite the rabbit hole. Your turn.
Yes. Well, I was going to say the other thing was I saw a YouTube video of a podcast that's called How I Write. And this guy interviews famous authors and professors of writing and
Ooh,
stuff.
cool.
But this one professor talked about how you can tell whether an English word came from the German or came from the French
Okay.
by the type of word it is. So I'll have to find that
Yes,
video.
it's
You'll
true
enjoy it.
because, yeah, when
It
I studied French, I can tell you that, like, for example, the word for pig, there's like four words for pig in our language, and swine is one of them. So, because the upper classes also spoke French and they did it especially in Russia, And that's another part about this show that's interesting. They have a lot of Russian immigrants. And a lot of that is because of World War One. So the very first season is a lot about World War One and also post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Huh.
Very interesting, but a weird show, and it does have nudity and some sex.
So I will bring us back into the gardening world because I wrote about the latest lost lady of garden writing this past week, Lena May Macaulay.
I like her
And
name.
she wrote a big old book called The Joy of Gardens in 1911. And then she just went on. And from there, she was an art editor and critic. And so that was her one and only book.
Huh, interesting.
So she writes about how you would expect somebody to write in 1911. So the sentences are like this long for,
Victorian sentences, yeah.
Victorian sentences. Yes, very much so. But I just happened to see the cover of the book on an Instagram account called Honeybee Mill Books.
Uh-huh.
And so do not look at their site unless you have some big bucks to spend on collectible old
Oh,
gardening books.
oh, they have really,
Do
really
not,
pretty
do
things.
not. So anyway, I thought she was kind of
Oh,
interesting. I pulled a couple of quotes from her book, which you can read online, and we'll put a link to that.
that's very interesting. You know, I'm reading that novel, Catherine,
Uh-huh.
and I just saw on this deal that one of their books, which is fabulous looking, is an 1854 copy. It's a German book. The Pilgrimage of the Flower Spirits is the name of it in English. And the interesting thing is there's a real character because Catherine's based on, she was the Lady of Swinford. Her mother-in-law thought the water spirits were calling to her because she kind of
Uh-huh.
lost her mind. So it has a gardening element. Water spirits, flower spirits. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
that place is, that place would get me in trouble.
yeah, I told you not to look, and then you went and looked.
Well, you shouldn't have put the link in there.
What are you going to do in your garden this coming week, Dee?
Simple. I'm going to keep weeding and watering, and I'm going to start thinking about planting that fall vegetable garden. And I need some good compost that does not have manure in it. That isn't because I'm out of my compost by now. So I need to, and I also need to add some potting soil to my Vago pots because the soil compresses and
Yeah.
also the organic matter gets used up and decays. So you have to add more potting soil.
So have you looked for mushroom compost?
Are you talking about what's left over from mushrooms
Yeah,
after they
like when
grow?
they grow them, they have stuff left over. It's mushroom compost. I don't know. They sell that around here that you can buy truckloads of it, but I don't know if it has manure. I don't know if they
Um,
add manure to it,
I
but
think they add manure to it depending on the type of mushroom because there's certain mushrooms that they tell us not to eat,
ah,
to be really careful with because they're grown in a manure compost, which I would love to have.
boo.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could add just good old back to nature,
There you go. There you go.
cottonseed hulls.
So I have garden club next week. Guess who our speaker is? And by the time this comes out, she will have already spoken.
I have no idea.
Teresa Byington, our friend from Rose Chat.
Oh, you guys are gonna love that. That's gonna be a beautiful. She
She's
sent me 3 pictures today of her garden. It is at
she's
peak right now.
Oh yeah, but she's not going to talk about roses. She's going to talk about English cottage gardens because she goes to England all the time.
Yeah, her family lives there. So
So
she
anyway,
goes once a year and we talk about it. I always know if she doesn't tell me she's leaving, I always know because she's really quiet and I don't hear from her for a couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden she's back and she's just full of energy again.
there you go. So I'm going to harvest vegetables and weed. I'm going to mow. Probably everything I'm going to do is going to have to be in the early morning because it is going to get hot up again.
It's hot.
Hot. So I think that's it, Dee. Did we? I hope we are not underwhelming people with our unusual choice of topics for the letter U.
Well, I mean, we didn't have much choice. You have to come up with something for you. I just can't wait. Well, V is going to be easy. I've
Oh
already thought
yeah.
of one.
I could think of one, but anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for listening to Garden Angelus. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time.
And if you subscribe to our free newsletter, you get a link to listen to the podcast a whole day early, along with links to the products we discuss. Some of these are affiliate links. Plus, now you can go over on YouTube and watch us in person. Full episodes show up Tuesdays.
If you want to help support us, use our affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we earn a small commission and it costs you nothing.
Or you can set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout or make a one-time donation through PayPal.
And we want to thank everyone who has done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the Garden Gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.